The A-League All-Stars squad for 2022, as they say here, a team dedicated to scoring, and that's certainly true. And certainly some eyebrow-raising selections when you look at the team that has been selected. It's just come out today, so here's my reaction to the A-League All-Stars squad. Many of these players selected by Dwight Yorke, the coach for this game, and a number of players selected by fan vote, and a couple selected by A-League Commissioner Greg O'Rourke. But here is the squad right here. First of all, the goalkeepers, and there's already some quite interesting selections here. Philip Curto, Andrew Redmayne, and Jamie Young. For me, Jamie Young, I mean, he was my pick for the first choice goalkeeper for the A-League All-Stars squad. But the ones that may be a bit more interesting, Philip Curto and Andrew Redmayne, especially considering that so many people were calling for the likes of Mike Birighitti, Ollie Sale, two goalkeepers who had monumental seasons for their respective clubs. Andrew Redmayne, I mean, he hasn't had like the most amazing season, but I guess he has been, he's a very experienced A-League goalkeeper, has Socceroos experience, so I understand the selection, but in terms of whether this season has deserved an All-Stars pick, maybe not. Philip Curto, I do understand. I mean, he's been a pretty solid and consistent goalkeeper over recent years at Western, at Wellington, and now at MacArthur FC. But some pretty unfortunate to especially Mark Birighitti. I thought he absolutely could have gotten a shout in there as well. Defenders, Jason Davidson, Ben Garuccio, Curtis Good, Ryan Grant, Leo Lacroix, Adrian Mariappa, Roderick Miranda, Scotty Neville, Jack Rodwell, Kai Rolls, and Adama Traore. So no major surprises there, I don't think. The one thing that I question is the selection of Ryan Grant, especially when you had the likes of Yavi Lopez, who was just monumental for Adelaide this season and is a very experienced campaigner. A lot of people call him for Lewis Miller as well, who had a great season at Mariners. Ryan Grant, I mean, he chipped in with a couple goals this season, but again, you think maybe his selection, similar to Andrew Redmayne, was based off the fact that he's got history with the national team. He's sort of, I guess, a high-profile player. I mean, he scored a goal in a grand final a couple of seasons ago. So I understand that way of thinking, but a questionable one again when you consider some of the other names that were up there. Aside from that, good to see some of the big names in there. I mean, Adrian Mariappa, Jack Rodwell, former Premier League players, I think deserve to be in there. Scotty Neville, I mean, as you'll see with some of these other selections across the team, I think they're trying to be fair and try and get players from every squad. Was Scotty Neville like a top centre back in the A-League? Maybe not this season, but again, another one of those players who has a lot of A-League experience. So I guess that's fair enough. The midfielders. Now the midfielders is the one where I was quite surprised with something that really perplexed me. So we've got Jake Brimmer, Anthony Caceres, Isaias, Milos Ninkovic, Jay O'Shea, Daniel Pena, Ren Piscopo, and Callum Timmins. And the big name that's missing for me here is Ulysses De Villa. Literally last season, Ulysses De Villa won the Johnny Warren Medal for the best player in the A-League. The best player that season. 12 months later, he's not selected in an A-League All-Star squad. Like, have I missed something? I don't know if there's a reason for this, whether he's like just going to be unavailable and they just didn't bother, including it at all. But especially when you look at the fact that, and nothing against the likes of Isaias, Callum Timmins, Ren Piscopo, but did those guys really have better seasons than De Villa? And you can't say that De Villa, De Villa's literally won that award that I just mentioned. I mean, it's really, I don't know. I don't really understand the selection there, whether there's reasons behind, whether he's not available or not. Anyway, let's talk about the forwards now, though. Jason Cummings, Craig Goodwin, Nestori Irankunda, Garen Kowal, Matt Leckie, Jamie McLaren, Becca Mikkeltadze, and Marco Tilio. So some selections that we certainly expected with the likes of Goodwin, Leckie, McLaren, Mikkeltadze, Cummings. People wanted those guys in there as well. But the youngsters, man, I didn't expect them to get called up, but it's going to be exciting to see them play. That's no doubt about that. Irankunda and Garen Kowal, the two youngsters, the two teenagers selected in this All-Stars squad. Look, I'm the biggest Garen Kowal fan, but I absolutely didn't expect him to get selected for this squad, and I'm quite surprised that he was. But scrolling down further, as I mentioned earlier in the video, it says here that there was two selections in the squad from A-League Commissioner Greg O'Rourke, basically the boss of the A-Leagues. And that was a big deal, because if we scroll down and see the two players that he selected, O'Rourke choices, O'Rourke's choices were Garang Kowal. So the head of the A-Leagues wanted Garang to play. I mean, again, I'm the biggest Garang Kowal fan, being a Central Coast Mariners fan. But I mean, the guy only played a handful of games. I know he scored some beautiful goals. But yeah, wow, man. And the other one that he picked is even more interesting. Reno Piscopo. Picked up Reno Piscopo. And there was an interesting quote down here as well. We want to show the world how much young talent we have in the A-Leagues. Fair enough. And both Garang and Reno have produced some extraordinary moments this season. Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Reno Piscopo injured for like half the campaign? Like, that, again, don't get me wrong, Reno Piscopo, fantastic player, superb talent, has so much potential to grow. But again, quite interesting when you look at some of the other players that maybe could have been thrown in there. And you get the sense as well, as he says, we want to show the world how much talent we have in the A-Leagues. I totally get it too. I mean, we're taking on Barcelona. It's sort of on the world stage, with the world watching, I guess. And this is a good opportunity for the players, some of these young players, to shine and potentially score some deals overseas off the back of this big game if they do get some minutes on the park. So perhaps that's some of the thinking behind some of these selections. But overall, it's not like a crazy. It's not like way off this squad, but there are certainly some interesting selections. I think they have certainly tried to balance out with some of the selections there. When you look at the likes of Callum Timmins at Perth, Scotty Neville at Brisbane, I mean, the lower table sides, I mean, that didn't really perform that well this season. I still wanted to get plays in there. But look, I think it's hard done by, especially with the likes of Bruno Fornaroli. I mean, surely he has to be in there as well. I know that, he didn't necessarily have like the best campaign, but he still bagged a bunch of goals for Perth and has been a fantastic A-League striker for many years now. So what do you guys make of this All-Star squad? Who are you absolutely stunned to not see in there? Who shouldn't be in there that is in there? Would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. My name's Lockie. This is Coastwatch Football, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.